summarize what we discussed today. Very important chapter. We discussed a lot today. 4 sheets. Wow. Right. We continued. We resumed with our understanding of this most confidential knowledge. Right. We left off yesterday with this describing this path of exclusive devotion. Right. What is exclusive devotion? He begins by saying that sweetness of exclusive devotion. He says that just a leaf, flower, fruit, water, Krishna accepts the mood of devotion. And if you cannot be at that state of exclusive devotion, okay, at least channelize, dovetail, channelize whatever you are doing, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you sacrifice, austerity you perform, offer it as an offering to Krishna. Why? Is Krishna being partial? Is he like relaxing all the rules and regulations here? First 6 chapters he spoke of so many rules. He's not relaxing the rules, but he's basically saying that he's neither partial nor impartial, but he's personal. And part of being personal is being reciprocal, right? That is the understanding. He's not an impersonal God who just follows the rule book, but he's also a person with a sweet heart. Therefore, he's reciprocal, right? And he goes on to say that sometimes accidentally, if or unintentionally, a person may deviate from one's prescribed duties, but such activities are not to be seen as abominable. But such a devotee is still to be considered saintly because he's well situated in his determination. Because determination to serve, determination to remain connected to Krishna, in that sense, because he's rightly connected, he becomes quickly righteous. And therefore, there are no qualifications. Other systems of yoga may have some prerequisites or some disqualifications. You cannot come, you cannot come, you cannot come. But in the school of Bhakti Yoga, there are no qualifications. It is completely inclusive. And therefore, the secret technique we learned, think of Krishna with your mind. Offer your homages, respect to Krishna with your body. Worship Krishna with your intelligence. And in your entire existence, become completely absorbed in Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness, right? And that is the most confidential part of the Vedas that Krishna spoke of, the Rajaguhya yoga. That yoga of Krishna consciousness is the top secret. Then he continues that theme, the next chapter, where he says, know me as my absolute truth. And he summarizes all that best knowledge. He summarizes that. Know me as unborn, the beginningless, and the same words you heard Arjuna also repeating. Know me as a cause of all causes. I am the origin of both matter and its qualities. Some divine qualities also speaks of. And when you are convinced of Krishna's great position, one naturally begins to engage in this Buddhi Yoga process, right? In this devotional process. And then he summarizes the entire process. He summarizes the entire Buddhi Yoga, right? In a very nice 4-step process. What happens first? So let's look at the right side of the screen, the Buddhi Yoga formula. If step number 8, what is verse number 8, right? Krishna is the source of everything. One gets understanding of that. That Raja Vidya gets revealed. Once the Raja Vidya is revealed, then one engages in devotional engagement. One begins a sadhana, one devotional engagement, right? Then once devotional engagement begins, then gradually that Buddhi Yoga gets revealed. And once that Buddhi Yoga process is revealed, the entire it pervades through the entire process. In your karma, jnana, in your meditation, in every aspect, that bhakti pervades, right? Then what happens? The consequence is that dadami buddhi yogantam. When that happens, aham ajnanajam tamaha. That tamas means that darkness, ignorance, tamogun. The darkness born out of ignorance gets destroyed because tesham eva anukampa. Anukampa means mercy. Because born out of mercy, I destroy this darkness. Like that. Krishna talks about that. And he walks his talk. At that moment, in a flash, Krishna enters into Arjuna's heart and destroys his knowledge, his ignorance, and reveals his buddhi to him. And Arjuna has his moment of epiphany and all the realizations he speaks about. And then he says, now I'm not satiated. Tell me more. I want to know more about your greatness, your glories, right? At this stage, knowing about Krishna's greatness is not a jnana. It is bhakti, because when you're so much in love with someone, you want to know everything about that someone, right? You want to know what they do at office, what they do. When a bhakti yogi wants to know about creation, all this complicated knowledge of creation, They are not interested in the intricacies of creation. They just want to know how my sweet Lord is creating. That is the mood with which one learns, and one is never satiated by learning about this. And then we heard about Krishna talks about all his, how he is present in everything, the transcendental opulences, right? How he is and he isn't, of course. With that understanding, we have to read this section, right? How he is the active principle in entire creation, and therefore all of these things that we spoke of, right? Everything is Krishna's with an apostrophe S, right? And therefore all opulence, beauty, and glory, it comes from a spark of Krishna's splendor. And what to speak of it, Krishna is now saying that I pervade his entire creation by my single fragment as Paramatma. And when Arjuna hears all of this, he is so thrilled. Now, out of his thrill, he's going to ask, now, Krishna, tell me more, tell me more. I want to see more about this form by which you're pervading this entire creation. I want to see that. And that macrocosmic form, Krishna is going to show to him in the next chapter, which is the universal form.